Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. It's me again, Edward Carbajal, mixed martial arts analyst for page2sports.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Carbazal, and this is another episode of the Carbazal MMA podcast. My apologies for last week not throwing up an episode. I was working on a new weight cutting technique, all natural. And by all natural, what I mean was I got sick. I ingested a virus or something rotten and had to work that out of my system. So it's all worked out. I'm recording this the morning of December 10th. It's the morning of UFC Fight Night 80. Lots going on to talk about, both in Las Vegas and over here near me on the East Coast in New York. So got a lot of stuff to get to. So let's get right into it. So as I said tonight, UFC Fight Night 80, Paige Van Zandt versus Rose Namajunas. I'm so bad with names. Anyway, those two lovely young ladies are throwing down tonight, and the card. There's so many people on the card. I believe there's 3 undefeated. I put it up on Page 2 Sports. You can read the article, but there are 3 undefeated fighters on the card. And the fighters of note are Elias Theodorou, Aljamain Sterling, and who's the third? Oh, Sage Northcutt. So those 3 guys are looking to keep their undefeated streak. I think they can. They're all young enough and explosive enough. Opponents that they're facing are a little older. Well, anyone say Northcutt fights is going to be a little older than him. But anyway, I think he's probably, of the 3, he's probably got the most to prove, only because he's brand new in the UFC. He fought that one fight against Francisco Trevino, and you'll see in the article I mentioned that after the fact, Trevino, not only did he not make weight, but he popped hot for banned substances. So it's just not a win you can brag about, even though he has his other wins in Legacy FC. I heard somewhere that he lost an amateur, but which is good for him, because that means he's tasted defeat and it's not something he has to worry about anymore. So he's got a positive mindset. He will do well, given his athletic ability and his youth. But he's not fighting an older man in Cody Pfister, who is looking to cut that win streak short. And his well broadcasted welcome to the UFC. If you don't know, Dana White had recruited him from Legacy FC on his web series that he does with Matt Serra and Nick the Tooth, called Looking for a Fight. Anyway, our own and Jim Miller's not undefeated, but a couple of guys from Jersey are fighting this weekend. Jim Miller's fighting tonight in the UFC Fight Night, the Fight Pass card, Fight Night 80. And Frankie Edgar, obviously, everybody knows about Frankie Edgar. He is fighting Friday night in the Ultimate Fighter Season 22 finale. And that finale is worth mentioning because I just watched it last night. And, you watch this whole season. In the beginning, I don't know if I mentioned it on previous podcasts. I know I've mentioned it in conversation with the other guys over at Page 2 Sports. But I had, obviously, I'm American. I think I did, because I feel like I said this before. But, me being American and a fan of the American fighters, I had 2 of them picked to be facing each other or wind up winning the whole thing. And obviously that didn't happen if you've been following the show. And so in the final episode, they had the 2 fighters from Europe. Saul Rogers won his fight, and Artem Lobov, who's Conor McGregor's training partner, beat out the DeRosa, the last American, which I was upset about. I was vocal about it on Twitter. If you see it, you'll see a tweet with "damn it" and hashtag Tough22. Because I was upset. I wanted at least one American to be fighting on the Ultimate Fighter finale tomorrow night, and it didn't look like that was the case. So, they show the credits, and it's like, okay, this is going to happen. Saul Rogers versus Artem Lobov and blah, 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 and it's all European, and all the American contestants have to sit on the sidelines. Then up comes the black screen, and they say Saul Rogers had a problem with his visa, so he can't get back into the U.S. And as an alternate, being that he lost his fight by decision, the guy that I had picked to win from the jiu-jitsu world, Ryan Hall, is now fighting on the Ultimate Fighter finale, and I am so excited for that because, I mean, not just because I'm a jiu-jitsu student and there's a bit of fanboyness in my enthusiasm, but I also was I just think he when he expresses his love for his art and his willingness to open up and add more tools to his game, and especially, you know, the uniqueness of how he plays the 50-50 guard, that is amazing to me. So I'd like to see more of that in MMA versus the super athletic all around fighters that pretty much saturate the sport. So I'm looking forward to that a lot now. I mean, I kept trying to see if there was this way to sneak in and find out that he was a finalist, but either way, I mean, obviously legal issues are harder to find, and that was an issue with Rogers' visa. So it sucks because you know, I watched it twice actually because I couldn't sleep last night, and seeing him talk about how he's fighting for his family and stuff. So it's sad that he can't move forward in his endeavors. Although it was said that he lied on his visa application, which, I mean, if you're you got to be honest about the things you do in life if you want to do them, you know, if you want the good fortune to come back to you. So sad that he did that, but I mean, I can understand that he probably wanted it really bad too. So too bad for him, but not too bad for Ryan Hall. So I got him picked to win for the Ultimate Fighter finale. And then in the main event of that on Friday night is Frankie Edgar's fight against Chad Money Mendes. And I mean, that's such a good matchup. And I'm not only picking Edgar to win because I'm from Jersey and he's from Jersey, but I just, yeah, it's funny. I just watched the interview before I started recording this between the two of them with Ariel Helwani, had them standing on Fox Sports, and Chad Mendes, when questioned about what Edgar is bringing to the table that'll be hardest for him to deal with, he mentioned the output of Frankie Edgar, the high output. And that's actually the wording I used when I was talking about it with one of my coworkers over at Page 2 Sports. So I think especially given the outcome of I mean, he only had 2 weeks to prepare against Conor McGregor from his last fight, so you can't say that Chad Mendes suffers from a cardio issue. But when you look at the two of them next to each other, one, I mean, it's a scientific fact, bigger, more muscular bodies need more oxygen, and Chad Mendes has a huge size advantage on Frankie Edgar. But I don't think Frankie Edgar will stand still long enough for him to impose any of it on him. And if it goes into the third, fourth, and you know, the championship rounds, I think we'll see that play into Edgar's favor, unless he does so much output early and wears him down early. As much as I like both fighters, I gotta go with the boy from Jersey, Frankie Edgar, to win for the Ultimate Fighter finale. So that's Friday night's event, and then leading into Saturday night, obviously UFC 194, the fight that was supposed to happen in July when I was in Vegas. Jose Aldo, Conor McGregor, and with that we get Chris Weidman against Luke Rockhold. Actually, that whole main card for the pay-per-view is just, it's sick. I mean, that's if I were to pay for a pay-per-view, this would be one of the ones I pay for. But you know, I head over to the pub with my brother and my girlfriend, and we watch the fights there, and we pay for. I'd rather use that money for good food and good drinks and getting sick again. So Chris Weidman and Luke Rockhold, there's so many fights on the card that are hard to call, and this is one of them. I think the only reason I'm going with Weidman is not only because he's a champion and he's undefeated, but he's also he's not the guy that focuses on like all the media and the hype surrounding people's skills and all that. He seems to just shut himself off from all that, focus on his training, and blow through people. I mean, that's what he did to Anderson Silva. I know the second time was the injury, but he was still winning. And then as legendary as Vitor Belfort's career is, he's still, even though he got caught and bloodied, he still dominated Vitor Belfort and shut down those lightning hands of his, and didn't even give him a chance to do any spinning head kicks or anything. So I don't see him believing any of the Rockhold's grappling ability and all that. I mean, they're probably even on the ground, but I think his perseverance from his wrestling and his drive, just his mental focus seems to be more on point. So that's why I see Chris Weidman winning that fight. Also on that card is Yoel Romero versus Ronaldo Souza, Jacare, for all you jiu-jitsu folks out there. And that's another one that's like a coin toss to me. The only it's really hard to call. I mean, if I go with my fanboy jiu-jitsu side, obviously I'm going to go with Jacare, Ronaldo Souza, but Yoel Romero is an Olympic silver medalist, and he seems to have some heavy hands. You know what? There is a technical aspect, or just from history. I think that the only reason I see Jacare winning is because I think Yoel Romero's chin is suspect. The whole Stoolgate issue with Tim Kennedy and sitting too long on the stool when he was half knocked out and then coming back to win it later. I think if that happens to him again, he loses this time around. And Jacare is pretty beastly in his own right. So that's a fight to look forward to. Hard to call, but I'm going with Jacare Souza. And then main event. We got to talk Jose Aldo, Conor McGregor, only because there's so much small dramas from last Saturday leading up until this big fight this weekend. And what I'm talking about is the fact that the Ultimate Fighter finale actually kind of cleaned it up a little bit for me. So it's still hard for me to pick. Originally, I had Jose Aldo picked just because he's been the longest reigning champion. I mean, his striking is on point, and it's something that with Conor McGregor's wide stance, I feel like the leg kicks would play into Jose Aldo beating him. But last Saturday, when I was laid up and sick, I watched Shuto Brazil on Fight Pass, Shuto 60, and in Brazil, live from Brazil, Saturday night, my time, and in the crowd was Jose Aldo, which left me wondering why are you still in Brazil? Like, why are you there? Why aren't you in Las Vegas? There's a slight elevation in Vegas, and you're in another country. Plus, with the time difference, like why aren't you already in Vegas acclimating to all of that, and just so you can have your mind and your body and your circadian cycle ready to fight for on a Saturday night. And it seemed to be an issue for a lot of people. I mean, it's my understanding that he didn't touch down in Las Vegas until Tuesday, so someone would have to check that, obviously, but that's what it seems like. He looked all right in the interviews. He looked all right, at the press conference yesterday. So, I mean, it might be a regular thing for him. Who knows? I mean, he might just be that game for competition that it doesn't affect him. But it's making me double, think twice about seeing him winning the fight. And McGregor looks obviously he looks relaxed and ready. I can't say that I sense any nervousness in him. I mean, he was less talkative, but that's all. These guys are ready to fight. It's a couple of days away, long time coming, so they probably just want it to happen already. I at this point, I doubt anybody's nervous or unable to perform. But when time wears on, that's where I think the concerns lie for Jose Aldo. But we'll see Saturday night. That's all speculation. Everybody can overanalyze and underanalyze. I think the only person in the world that might have the third eye for this type of stuff is Robin Black, because he was the only guy that saw Holly Holm beating Ronda Rousey. So Robin Black from the Fight Network. So we'll see what happens Saturday. But when I was laid up, like I said, I watched Shuto Brazil. I watched Bellator 147. Real quick, just so I could recap the week that I was out. Those were the only two events I was able to watch in my sickliness. And the real punk Josh Thompson fought at Bellator 147 for the second time. He looks like he's got a renewed interest in his career over there. And I think that's good for his evolution as a martial artist. And if he goes for gold in Bellator, that'd be a nice way to close out his career, because no one's getting any younger. He called out Michael Chandler though, which I found interesting, rather than calling out the champ Will Brooks. So I think that underlines more of Will Brooks' comments on how he's being overlooked and all that stuff, or not being treated with the respect the champion should be treated. I agree with him in some of that stuff, because it does look curse. It does look like there's a certain writing of Richards. You can translate that in your own mind. Richard writing in Bellator when guys come from the UFC. It's like as soon as they get there, they're automatic main eventers, which is good for business because their names are more well known. And I understand that. I get that. Everybody wants to make money. But still, Will Brooks is not without his point. So, he's backed it up enough. So we'll see, what happens in that division. That's their most stacked division, the 155 over there in Bellator. So Josh Thompson's definitely not going to be without competition. And what else happened? Oh yeah, and then I talked about the Shuto Brazil and Jose Aldo being there. So I think we're all caught up. The only thing I have to add is I mentioned New York and the stuff going on this weekend. So this weekend, tomorrow morning, actually, that's why I have to get this uploaded now. So I apologize for any messed up, any bad talking points or anything that I say on here that seems messed up or stuttering, because I have to catch a train tonight. I'm heading into New York City. The MMA rally to lift the ban on MMA in New York is tomorrow morning. So I'm going to be there for that. And then Saturday, the MMA Expo is also going on. So I'm going to be there with that and bring all my stuff with me to see if I can get some nice sound bites for you guys, some quick interviews to add to the podcast for next week. So it's a good time. If you do follow me on Twitter, at Carbazel, make sure you also follow me on Periscope, because I'll probably be periscoping from both events. Scoping. I like to call it scoping because it sounds more dope, or like a dope. Either way, really good weekend for the sport. So really happy to yell about it in front of the assembly office tomorrow morning. And then there's supposed to be a panel at the MMA. I am going to be on hand for all of that and watching the UFC events. So everybody be ready. It's a big weekend. Don't party too hard. Again, you can check all of our analysis and mixed martial arts coverage from me and the other guys at Page 2 Sports over at page2sports.com. This podcast and the others can always be found at theblogboardjungle.com. And by all means, have a good weekend. I will try to stay healthy, and I hope you do too. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I'm going to talk to you before that, but tis the season. Tis the season for the reason. All right, everybody. That's enough of me. I'll get back to you next week. Thanks for listening. I think I've plugged everything I need to plug, so I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.